So the central theme of this paper is an attempt to think more clearly about a kind of dialogical relationship between the indigenous peoples of this land and the vast majority of us who came from elsewhere, and to begin to be able to act upon this presupposition, and particularly to think about how this can be thought of through narrative, how we can tell the story of this relationship in a truly dialogical fashion. And without neglecting or trying to marginalize other important cleavages in the society, I think this one, our signal indifference as a dominant society to this problem, is foundational for many other problems of this society. So this is a paper about narrative. Narrative as a distinct method of engaging with reality. And in particular, what history's narrative character can bring to the problem of writing history in a new and more respectful, that is to say, dialogical way. The reality that particularly concerns me is the central reality of Canada, which I take to be a federated but settler state. That means that obviously this country's existence is divided by region and language and all sorts of things, but that it ultimately rests on the dispossession of diverse indigenous peoples under diverse particular circumstances. And the problem, I think, is that the foundational myths of the settler societies that make up this country have varied in important ways, but they've been united in their account of their histories as histories of undeniable and unequivocal economic progress or improvement. So the supposition is that First Nations may be first, but they're also of the past unless they conform to the narrative of progress that we've imposed on this land. Multi-voice narratives about the Canadian past are methodologically fundamental to a more truthful engagement with Canadian reality, which I take to be a multi-voiced one. It has many elements, but this fundamental element about the distinction between Indigenous voices and voices of settler groups is probably one of the most radical in terms of its implications for using language like civilization. This means that we think in terms of a dialogical relationship, but not between civilizations, I think. I think we want to talk more about modes of human habitation. We need to think about Umran, and to be able to say that different forms of Umran have a legitimate place. And if they have been lost, that we recognize the cost of what has been lost. That means a different kind of mode of narrating the past, being able to discern and learn from distinctive truth claims from multiple narratives and multiple narrative forms. That may mean we have to listen to fictional, mythical, and didactic narratives from the other side of this divide, if we're to understand dialogically truths about the past.